Boys and gentlemen, once again, this is Jeremy Smith. You guys have probably been wondering where on earth I've been. The truth is, so much new gear has been coming to market, I haven't had enough time to test everything. But I decided to go ahead and start testing things on kind of a first look basis, and we can always test things in more detail as time goes on and as I have more time to test things in more detail. The first thing I wanted to take a look at though is Tamron's new 17 to 28 f2.8. Now, a few months ago, we tested Tamron's 28 to 75 2.8, and that lens was excellent. Initially there were a few firmware hiccups, but after that was sorted out, everything performed very, very well. This new lens is performing very well right out of the box. There hasn't been any firmware issues, and it's been focusing very, very well. So we don't see those issues that we saw on the 28 to 75. This lens basically looks exactly like the 28 to 75. It has the exact same 67mm filter size, and it ends up pairing quite nicely with the 28 to 75 as well. If you end up carrying both these lenses in a kit, you basically have about a 2.25 pound setup. That pales in comparison to the massive size and weight of some of the lenses on the market these days. The lens we tested last on this channel was Sigma's 40mm 1.4, and that lens weighs 2.6 pounds just all by its lonesome. So it's very incredible to see what Tamron is able to do in terms of designing these very high quality lenses that are still relatively small and lightweight. This lens, construction wise, still feels very, very solid. It's, again, very much like the 28 to 75. It does have the same gasket at the mount, and that's going to definitely help out with dust ingress and water ingress and that sort of thing. This lens does not feel, does it feel cheap? Absolutely not. It doesn't feel quite as solid as some of the over-engineered Sigmas or some of the G Master lenses, but of course that's how Tamron is able to keep the weight down, and I think it's overall a nice compromise. One of the main things I wanted to see about this lens was how it did in terms of edge sharpness, and I was not disappointed nor surprised. This lens performs very, very excellently. I shot it on the A7R III, and even, at 17mm out to the very edges of the frame, it does very, very well. I don't have a ton of samples to show you guys at this time, but I will put what samples I do have in the description below. And as time goes on, as I continue to test the lens and look at other things, I'll definitely, post some additional samples, and we'll have a chance in the future to perhaps even make another video to discuss this further. As always, if you guys have questions, write me in the comments below. Oh yes, and one other thing I want to talk about on its image quality is that, it does have a fair bit of vignetting, but I wanted to address that. I hear a lot of people online talking about vignetting these days, especially on these newer mirrorless lenses. Whenever I look at this, I'm not a lens engineer by any means. I'm not an optical engineer, but it seems to me as though a lot of the companies have kind of made a little bit of a compromise in their design. They've become very, very good at making small compact lenses that are extremely sharp in the edges. And to me, that's something that takes a precedence. If a lens has a bit of vignetting, it's literally one click in software to remove. There is no Adobe profile out for this lens at this time, but I'm sure there will be one in the future. So that's just my thoughts on vignetting. Anyways, take a look at the samples, write me in the comments below, let me know if you have any other further questions, and perhaps we'll be taking a look at this in this lens again in a future video. We'll definitely be testing a lot of other lenses soon as well. There's everything from telephotos like the 200 to 600 Sony that came out, the 600 f4. We have the new wide-angle 35 1.8 full-frame lens from Sony that everybody should be rejoicing about that lens, it seems, because people have been constantly complaining about Sony coming out with the 35 1.8, are complaining about them not coming out with the 35 1.8. We've got the new A7R IV coming. We have the Fuji GFX 100, which is a camera that I'm extremely eager to get my hands on and test. So be sure to stay tuned. There'll be lots more testing coming up. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Until next time, this is Jeremy Smith, signing off.